from the New York National Guard. Today is another of many First Responder Corps Citizen Training Program sessions held throughout the state. We're going to kick things off here this morning with some comments from County Executive Ed Mangano, Assemblyman Michael Montesano, Senator Carl Marcelino, and of course the Governor. We'll then take a 10-minute break, and the first training session will follow on preparedness. After those sessions conclude, we'll have another break in which the second session on response and recovery will start. At the end, we'll have time for questions and answers for anything that you may have. At the end of the day, each family will receive a Citizen Preparedness Corps kit that includes a first aid kit, flashlight, AM/FM pocket radio with batteries, safety goggles, and other safety necessities. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, with all of you, just for showing up for this training. You are stepping up and taking responsibility for the safety of your community, and that speaks volumes. In the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, New York committed unprecedented resources to the recovery effort, determined to rebuild all of our communities that were damaged and to ensure that we come back stronger. In his State of the State, Governor Cuomo announced the Citizen Preparedness Corps training program, which will train New Yorkers in the proper preparation for emergencies and disasters. These sessions are led by the men and women of the New York National Guard, working with experts from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Service, the Office of Emergency Management, and the Office of Fire Prevention and Control. Today is meant to serve as an introduction to responding to a natural or man-made disaster. The program will provide you with the tools and resources to prepare for emergencies and disasters, respond accordingly, and recover as quickly as possible to pre-disaster conditions. Your training shouldn't end today. The state has launched a new website, www.prepare.ny.gov, to serve as the digital home for the Citizens Preparedness community. On it, you will find information about additional trainings, more disaster preparedness tips, and ways to volunteer your skills in the event of a disaster. And we hope that after this session, you will all become more involved in existing community-based emergency activities in your community. We commend you all for being here today, and it is now my pleasure to introduce County Executive Mangano.
Thank you, General. Let's hear it for the General. Good morning. It's great to be here. My alma mater. I want to thank Terry Clark, our superintendent, for making our wonderful school available. Terry. I also have some colleagues with government with me here today. I want to introduce them. Nassau County Legislator Mike Venditto. Mike. Nassau County Legislator Laura Schaefer. Laura. And Nassau County Legislator Rose Walker. Along with the Village of Lawrence Administrator David Smollett. David. And most importantly, all of you who've taken time on their Saturday to become trained. It is a thrill for me to join once again with Governor Cuomo. Governor Cuomo has been at our side here in Nassau County time and time again. Our most notable time was when we were struck with Hurricane Sandy. He was there before the hurricane, offering vital planning assistance and assets. He delivered those assets during the hurricane, and I can tell you this, he spent more time in Nassau County than in his home county. And we appreciate that, Governor Cuomo. But it didn't stop there. Post-Hurricane Sandy, he fought shoulder to shoulder with us to get the funding necessary to build our county smarter and stronger. He's made certain that we've secured over $830 million to rebuild our wastewater treatment plant, and hundreds of millions of dollars to make vital repairs and mitigate against future storms. But today, perhaps, is the most important day. because today he offers critical training to all our residents to be better prepared the next time a weather event strikes our county. I applaud the governor for his leadership and for his vision in offering these courses throughout the state with the goal to train over 100,000 citizens in emergency preparedness. And what we have learned is you can never be too prepared. It is amazing that we came through Hurricane Sandy without loss of life here in the county of Nassau. And we in fact have emergency managers traveling from around this country as far away as Paris, France, to learn how we were able to get through that hurricane in such a densely populated suburban county without loss of life. And much of that is due to the fact that we have trained first responders, volunteers, volunteer firefighters, nurses, doctors, EMTs, AMTs, a great police force represented here today by our Commissioner Tom Crumter. Tom, you're out here somewhere. But their training brought us through that event. Now we have an opportunity through the governor's vision to train our residents. And thank you for being here today to attend this most important training. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a great colleague in government here. He really needs no introduction. He's a partner in day in and day out in the town of Oyster Bay as he leads a great town, a great friend, my friend, and our town supervisor, John Bandito. John, want to come up there if you would?
County Executive, thank you very, very much. My instinct tells me to be very, very brief. We have a great deal of important information to cover this morning, and I think the last thing you need right now is a local official droning on inordinately. But I do have something to say. I have reached out in the course of time, many, many times, to the governor's office, to the governor himself, and to his staff as well. And I'm here to tell you and affirm what County Executive Mangiano just said. Never once, and I underscore the word never once, have I received other than an appropriate response. Governor, you are an Oyster Bay kind of guy, and thank you for that. As far as the county executive goes, what else is there to say? His passion for his job, you all know him personally. I can drop the adjectives. He is one of us. He is here for us. He has been side by side with us through thick and thin from day one. Ed Mangano, I thank you so much for all you've done for our town. Hopefully, today's seminar, today's program will help us be more prepared and less scared. And hopefully, we will never have to use the lessons we learned today, but if we do, we will be ready as a citizenry. Governor, thank you so much for what you're doing today. And on that note, I will bring up another good friend of the town of Oyster Bay who has been totally responsive every time we call on him. Please welcome New York State Assemblyman Michael Montesano. Michael.
Good morning, everyone. I'd first like to introduce some of my colleagues from the Assembly that are here with us today. I'd like to acknowledge Assemblyman David McDonough, Assemblywoman Mikhail Salages, Assemblyman Chuck Levine, and Assemblyman Joseph Saladino. I am honored to be joining you here today. As well as being your elected official, I am first and foremost a proud citizen of the state of New York. Today is about what we as citizens of the Empire State can do to help our neighbors in time of need. In the years since Hurricane Sandy hit, we have all been doing a lot of recovering and a lot of rebuilding. The governor and state government have been tremendous partners in the recovery process. But if Sandy and its predecessor storms taught us anything, it's that as citizens, we also need to be prepared for a new reality of unpredictable weather. Now is the time to start preparing. As we continue to make progress with our roads and buildings, Governor Cuomo smartly recognizes that we need to look ahead to the future. And he is looking for 100,000 dedicated citizen New Yorkers to help them do just that. Last month, the governor announced the first ever Citizen Preparedness Corps training program. This program and today's training event aims to educate New Yorkers across the state about what they can do to help themselves and their fellow New Yorkers during times of emergencies. The state has brought together a panel of industry leaders to get the ball rolling today, and I commend the governor and his administration for this common sense initiative. It is the right thing to do, and it will save lives. I am now pleased to introduce my colleague in the New York State Senate, Senator Carl Marcellino.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. And hopefully everybody at the end of this meeting will be properly trained, get one of these really cool-looking kits. I'm hoping there'll be one aside for me so that I can get one of those double D batteries, which you can never find in a store when you need them. The other day I went to Home Depot. I needed an extra shovel. My shovel broke. I was looking for a new shovel. I walked in there, and the only thing I could find in Home Depot was bulbs. Lawn furniture for the summer, umbrellas to sit out under the sun in your backyard, which has got 3 feet of snow in it. So I think Home Depot is in a little bit of an off-kilter from where we all are. I'd like to introduce my colleague in the Senate, Senator Campaign, who is here joining us, represents the 6th Senate District and most of Bethpage at this point in time. I think I have about 2,000 people left in my district from Bethpage. And if you're out there, God bless you. It's good to see you. The governor has set up a program called and it's right above us, the Preparedness Corps. And it's for civilians to come in and be trained to help each other. Oftentimes, we are the first ones on the scene of a tragedy. We're there before the first responders can get there on many occasions. Because our neighbors in distress, we see a tree limb come down, lands on somebody's house, or destroys a car, blocks a road. It's usually the neighbors that get out first and try to help each other out. The police, the fire people, the EMTs are called after the fact, and they get there as quickly as they can, and then they provide the final touches. They're the pros. But we need us, the people, to be properly trained to help each other. You've got to be self-sufficient because in many cases, roads are blocked, power lines are in the wrong place, causing all kinds of problems. And obviously, we don't want to handle that because we're not experts in the power lines, and we should stay away from them. Leave that for the pros. But what we do is help each other when we can. So this Corps, this program is ideal. We have been getting some of the worst weather. I don't care what you call it. Forget the politics of it. You want to call it global warming. You want to call it climate change. I call it lousy weather. It's as simple as that. We've had Sandy. We've had Nemo. We've had Irene. Who the heck knows what's going to say? I was going to say who the hell knows, but I won't do that here because I'm in a school, and I taught school for 20 years, and you're not allowed to say bad words in a school. So therefore, we're going to keep it clean at this point in time. But the name of the game is preparedness. We have one of the best friends Long Island has ever had in Governor Andrew Cuomo. He is our friend. He is there when we need him. He brings state government to us. We don't have to ask him. We don't have to call him. He's there when the disaster is hitting. He's, as Ed Mangano said, he's on the phone before the disaster hits and making his presence felt. He's aware, he's on board, and he's with us. He's one of us. And as John Venditto rightly said, he's an Oyster Bay kind of guy. And we want to keep him down here as much as possible. So, and he can be close to his sister who lives in Oyster Bay. And that's important. Got to visit your sister. Always stay close to the family. Our familiar. It's the name of the game. It is my pleasure now to introduce our good friend, my good friend, and a friend to all of the state of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I always getting up after Senator Carl Marcellino because you're not exactly sure what he's going to say. But you know it's always going to be good, and it's always a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be back in Oyster Bay. Let's begin, first of all, by thanking General Shields and thanking the National Guard for being there whenever we need them. They are there big time, and we should be proud of them. Supervisor Venditto, thank you very much for having us here today. Thank you for all the accommodations and all the hospitality for having us here. Let's give the supervisor a big round of applause. County Executive Ed Mangano, I can say this about him. You heard all the good words, and they are all correct, and they're all right. But, you see the county executive, and he's in a suit and a tie and nice, and that's how we normally see our government officials. When it's midnight and it's raining and it's snowing and you're in the middle of a hurricane and nobody knows what's going on, that's when you really get a chance to see the character of a person. And that's when you see what a person is really made out of. And your county executive is an extraordinary leader. I saw him firsthand, and he's really someone special. Let's give him a round of applause. To Senator Marcellino and Assemblyman Montesano, I want to thank them for their leadership, not just today. I've had the pleasure of working with them for the past 3 years. And I don't know if you remember back, but 3 years ago, the state government of New York was not in great shape. It was literally a joke on late-night TV. It wasn't getting anything done. We've seen gridlock in Washington. Albany had gridlock before Washington had gridlock. They copied it from Albany, I think. But we sat down 3 years ago and we said, it's not working and we have to try a different way. And we said, let's try putting the politics aside. Forget political parties, who's a Democrat, who's a Republican, who's a this. We're all New Yorkers first, and let's act that way. And we've done that, and I applaud them for it. The message today is very simple. I've been governor for 3 years. The governor has a lot of headaches. I have to worry about the budget. We have prisons. We have all sorts of issues all across the state. I'll tell you the truth, what keeps me up at night most of all. Most of all, what keeps me up at night is I have one daughter who's a problem. But you put her aside, she's going to grow out of it soon, very soon, or she's going to stop growing at this point in her life. It's one or the other. But after that daughter, the fear of these emergencies, because this really is something different, and it's getting worse, and we would be kidding ourselves if we thought that it was over or that the worst is behind us. And Senator Marcellino said it, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. And what's causing it, climate change, et cetera, you have all sorts of debates. This is what is undebatable is this. We have extreme weather that we have never seen before, and it is getting worse, and it is getting worse. And our job is to prepare for the worst. And that's what today is all about. We never had these weather conditions in New York. I've been governor for 3 years. We've had 9 federally declared disasters in 3 years. My father was governor for 12 years. He had a handful. Nothing like this. This did not happen. Hurricanes in New York, earthquakes in New York. It didn't happen. You went through it with Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy. Who ever heard of a superstorm? What is that? It sounds like something in a comic book. Superstorm hits town. This never happened before. Earthquakes never happened, and they are very humbling, and they are very frightening at the same time. And I think, to be prepared, to be prudent, we should expect that it's going to follow. Now, first, learn from what has happened in the past, and we're doing that. You're going to see we're designing homes now in a way that we've never designed homes before. You're going to see homes built on stilts, which we never did in New York. It's more of a Southeast architecture. You're going to see us deconstructing homes. We built homes in places where we shouldn't have built homes. We built homes in places that were just too close to the water, and Mother Nature comes back to visit, and she may not come often, but when she comes, she reclaims the land. And in some parts, we're just going to be pulling back. Our entire electric grid, our entire electric system is too vulnerable to storms. We have substations that are literally ground level near the water. and there's a flood and the water comes in and it hits the substation and salt water and electric doesn't mix and now the substation is out. You have no power and now you start to have that cascade of unfolding events. So we're learning. We have now earthquakes, literally, that we have to be prepared for. It wreaks havoc on the infrastructure. We have our water and sewage treatment plants all along the water. When there's a flood, it overwhelms the water sewage treatment plant. All the pumps are ruined, etc. So learn the lessons. The weather system. Now, we joke about the weather person never gets it right? It is serious business when it comes to being prepared for these storms. The National Weather Service relies on the states, a state-by-state weather system. So all they're doing is relying on the New York State weather system. And when you get bad weather advice, it makes a difference. We had one storm that was supposed to hit in downstate New York. So we took all the equipment from all across the state, all the personnel from all across the state, and we sent it down to downstate New York. Literally, thousands of people from across the state. Everybody goes to downstate New York, storm comes, weather forecaster says, great, didn't hit downstate. By the way, bad news is it's hitting Buffalo. Quick, everybody go back to Buffalo. These are serious conditions. So we're going to have the state-of-the-art weather service, the best weather service that any state has put together. We're going to have the first college in New York for emergency management personnel. There is no college for emergency management personnel. There are courses you can take. We're going to establish the first college. We're going to do that right here in the state of New York. We are training our We are training our emergency personnel in a way they've never been trained before. And we're all going to have the same training. So the county emergency management personnel understand the same protocols and procedures as the town emergency management, as the state, as the federal. So everybody's on the same book and everybody is on the same page and everybody knows what everyone's doing. So we're doing everything that we can to learn from it and be ready. But the county executive is exactly right. The main asset we have in these situations is you. First, God bless New Yorkers. They say we can be tough, we can be this. When we are in the worst of it, New Yorkers are at the best. And a more courageous people, a more compassionate people, a more giving people you cannot imagine, like the people we have in this state. So you are the best asset. And the supervisor's right. You are the first responder. You were the first responder. Before the county official, before the town official, before the state official, it's you in your home. And you want to know what you need to know to protect your family. You want to have those skills. It shouldn't be, well, when someone comes, then we'll know. We want you informed. We want you equipped. We want you in a position to take care of your family. And then we want you in a position where you can come out of your home, help the people on your block, help the people on your community, and we know that we'll have that asset there. So God forbid something happens again, we'll have the equipment, we'll have the training, but we'll have you in your home knowing what you need to do for yourself and your community. And that's what today is all about. It won't end today, it will start today. And hopefully, you never need this training. And hopefully something happens and the weather patterns change and we never go through what we went through before and we never have another weather emergency or a natural disaster. I hope, and I pray, to be quite honest, that that's the case. But if that's not the case, we will be ready. And we have every asset and every talent that we need to do it and to do it right. I thank you so much for taking the time to come out. I applaud your local officials for the time they've taken to be here. Let's do this. Let's get ready. And let's make this state the great state of New York once again. Thank you and God bless you.
So I did want to hold up one of the bags so everybody can see it. At the end, each family will be issued one of these, and it's a starting point. And at this point, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll start with the first training session. Thank you.